Welcome to your Daily 5 for Monday, August 18th, 2025. For one of our communal films for this week, Lando and I watched a movie from 1985 titled Demons, which is actually a rare case where the English title is a direct translation of the Italian title. And this movie was a bit of a risk because Lando doesn't really like horror films. He certainly doesn't like them as much as I do. Not that I like the really hardcore stuff anymore. I don't watch much of that, but he doesn't like a lot of the kind of even mainstream horror films. But this is a mid-80s film from Italy. So I was guessing that it probably wasn't going to be all that horrific in its actual kind of feel. It may be technically a horror film, but if you watch enough movies of this time from Italy, you quickly discover that many of them are hardly horrific. They just have horror elements that are, I don't even know, they are imbued with this magical combination of the time and the filmmaking technique that somehow sap just about every bit of true horror from the elements. It's certainly something that you don't see anymore. Movies are just not made like this for any number of reasons. And so I thought, okay, we're going to watch this because at the very least I did enough checking, because I'd never seen this. It's a rare case where we're watching a movie, an Italian horror film from the 80s that I actually had never seen. And so I knew enough that it wasn't going to have any really gross elements, that it wasn't going to have anything too horrific in terms of something that would repel people, you know, something like the New York Ripper. We will never watch that together. I watched that myself. I probably will never rewatch it, but I know we're never going to watch that as a communal film. So we went into this, and the basic setup is one that's been done a number of times. It is the idea that people are experiencing a story, and that story then becomes reality for them. So all these people show up for this free screening of a movie by a guy who looks like he's half Phantom of the Opera with a metal mask, is just wandering around in Berlin passing out free movie tickets, and I guess people just show up, which is already a little dubious, but whatever. So, hey, you know what? Free movie, so what? So they show up and they start watching this movie about a group of people who are disturbing the tomb of Nostradamus, and somehow that leads them to start to turn into demons. And then, wouldn't you know it, the people in the theater start turning into demons. The same exact kind of demons. They look the same, they act the same, the transformations are largely the same. There's a mask that is prominently featured as the initial element that turns people into demons. You get cut by putting this mask on, and that infects you somehow to make you into a demon, or spreads the demonology into you, or whatever. And then it's just mass mayhem inside of a theater that becomes sealed up for some reason. And I say for some reason because the movie never really worries about why this is happening, or, you know, what the end goal of the demonic possession is. We never see a satanic figure or some kind of head demon or some kind of evil presence that is orchestrating this for some reason. And there are events in the movie that happen that really don't seem to make much sense why they would be connected at all, including things like the transformation of the demons does not follow any specific pattern. So some people take a very long time to transform, and others transform inside of about 2 minutes. And the movie doesn't stop to explain why. This is not a movie that is really preoccupied with the narrative holding together under close scrutiny. This is just about a lot of splattery demonic effects, and not even really gross ones, comedically over the top ones. But really, there is one good element as far as something that's actually creepy, which is a glowing eye effect that's only used a few times, but it looks great. But that's really not what the movie's intent is. The movie's intent is just to have a lot of fun, having people turn into goopy demons and run around inside a theater trashing things. And as long as you know that, and you come into the movie with that knowledge, and you're not looking for a deep, you know, A24 style story or something that's going to be, I don't know, more impactful than it's going in its 90-minute runtime. As long as you know that, and especially if you're a fan of films of this era and of this location, like Italian horror films, they're kind of all like this in most cases. If that's something you like, then you're going to have a lot of fun with demons, because it is a lot of fun. Even Lando, again, not a big horror person, had a lot of fun with this. And there are some surprising elements, which we'll talk about when we do the detailed discussion on Friday. But I would say this is one of those movies where if you are at all interested, then you're going to have a good time watching it. So again, Demons, 1985, pretty easy to watch in different places, including YouTube. A lot of fun. Later.